Gadsden Park. Still the man did not stir or steady the horse, which was moving gently, shifting from foot to foot, making it unsafe for Gwendolen to attempt to climb into the cab. "For heaven's sake, man, what's the matter with you?" Desmond reached up and grabbed at the skirts of the driver's coat and pulled sharply. "Control your animal!" To his horror, the man tilted toward him, overbalanced, and toppled down, falling untidily off the box over the wheel and onto the pavement at his feet. Desmond's immediate thought was that the man was drunken, insensible. He wouldn't be by any stretch the only cabby to fortify himself against endless hours in the bitter fog by taking more alcohol than he could handle. It was an infernal nuisance, but he wasn't without a flicker of understanding for it. Were he not in Gwendolen's hearing, he would have sworn fluently, but now he was obliged to hold his tongue. "Drunk," he said with exasperation. Gwendolen came forward and looked at him. "Can't we do something about it?" She had no idea what such a thing might be. Desmond bent down and rolled him over until the man was lying on his back, and at the same moment the wind blew a clear patch in the fog, so the gaslight fell on his face. It was appallingly obvious that he was dead. Indeed, that he had been dead for some time. Even more dreadful than the livid, puffy flesh was the sweet smell of putrefaction and a crumble of earth in the hair. There was an instant's silence, long enough for the indrawing of breath, the wave of revulsion. Then Gwendolen screamed, a high, thin sound smothered immediately by the night. Desmond stood up slowly, his own stomach turning over, trying to put his body between her and the sight on the pavement. He expected her to faint, and yet he didn't know quite what to do. She was heavy as she sank against him, and he couldn't maintain her weight. "Help!" he called out desperately. "Help me!" The horse was used to the indescribable racket of the London streets, and it was barely stirred by Gwendolen's scream. Desmond's shout didn't move it at all. He cried out again, his voice rising as he struggled to prevent her sliding out of his grip onto the filthy pavement, and to imagine some way of dealing with the horror behind him before she regained her senses and became completely hysterical. It seemed like minutes standing in the wreaths of coldness, the cab looming over him, silent except for the breathing of the horse. Then, at last, there were footsteps, a voice, and a shape. "What is it? What's wrong?" An enormous man materialized out of the fog, muffled in a woolen scarf, coat-tails flapping. "What happened? Have you been attacked?" Desmond was still holding Gwendolen, who was at last beginning to stir. He looked at the man and saw an intelligent, humorous face of undoubted plainness. In the halo of the gaslight he was not so enormous, merely tall, and dressed in too many layers of clothes, none of which appeared to be done up correctly. "Were you attacked?" the man repeated, a little more sharply. Desmond jerked himself into some presence of mind. "No." He grasped Gwendolen more tightly, pinching her without meaning to. "No, the cabby is dead." He cleared his throat and coughed as the fog caught him. "I fear he has been dead some time. My wife fainted. If you would be kind enough to assist me, sir, I shall endeavour to revive her, and then I imagine we should summon the police. I suppose they take care of such things. The poor man is an appalling sight. He cannot be left there." "I am the police," the man replied, looking past him to the form on the ground. "Inspector Pitt." He fished absently for a card and turned up a penknife and a ball of string. He abandoned the effort and bent down by the body, touching the face with his fingers for a moment, then the earth on the hair. "He's dead," Desmond began. In fact, he looks almost as if he had been buried and dug up again." Pitt stood up, running his hands down his sides as though he could rub off the feel of it. "Yes, I think you're right. Nasty."